Alright, it's time to go deep with looping. What we're looking at today is going to be Skadi looping. I'm making it sound like there are many others, but when it comes to quick meta, there's only one kind of looping. You heard correctly, apart from the damage dealers, the entire quick meta is carried by one servant and one servant only. So unless you have this woman, your application for quick meta is denied. And even then, there's a couple conditions that you have to meet. And of course, all of this is presented by yours truly. Before the arrival of looping, Fate Grand Order was dominated by Buster and Art strategies. Merlin and Waver empowered Buster teams. Tamamono Mai led Arts teams in sustained battles, supported by Mash Kyrielite and Jeanne d'Arc. Farming required meticulous planning with AoE clearers like Arjuna. The game balanced power, endurance, and strategy. But even this story had to end at some point. Today we are fighting in a very different environment than from before. In 2018, something changed. Every story has its beginning. And this one began with What really made Skadi stand out from the rest was her NP battery that charged up to 50% of the NP gauge. This on its own would have already made her a top-class servant, but the fact that this NP battery was targetable made all the difference. It set a completely new standard that had to be upheld by future servants that come in a class of their own. Nowadays, people mourn the fact that quick meta is no more, but people weren't always so appreciative of the power of quick meta. Believe me when I say this, for a time, the FGO community was completely split apart. To say she was game-changing is an understatement. For a time, she was the game. You had the JP players on the one side that were already aware of the Grandcaster shenanigans that she could pull off, eagerly awaiting the delayed arrival on the NA servers. And then on the other side, you had the NA players that for the past 2 years have stayed religiously loyal to Merlin and his Buster crit memes. The FGO side of the internet was completely at war. No one on the North American servers was either ready for nor accepting of the fact that such a groundbreaking change has been made to the game. When a company that hosts a game with minimal balance patches releases a new servant, it signifies a permanent addition to the field. Often, these companies do not fully grasp the impact of the changes they have just introduced. It's only when the players delve deeper and analyze these changes that the true implications for the game's state become much clearer. And when the JP players dig for scraps, they dig deep. Until now, ensuring critical hits required adding mostly assassin servants to your team to generate stars by attacking the enemy directly with their quick cards. Then, another servant would use those stars to deal heavy damage with face cards. I can only imagine that the company likely intended for the new servant to complement this style of play. What they didn't foresee was that Skadi herself would make the role of star generators obsolete. Players quickly realized that Skadi's targetable quick buff significantly enhanced critical hits by boosting their overall strength. However, it was later discovered that this buff had a unique and powerful effect on Noble Phantasms as well. For the longest time, players were distracted by the generous evasion skill on Skadi's Noble Phantasm. However, they eventually realized how powerful quick servants became when buffed by just one Skadi, opening the door to new strategies. Double strategies have been used before, with veterans familiar with double Merlin or Waver setups. Naturally, trying a double Skadi strategy was an obvious step. Bit by bit, her immense strength in buffing a single servant became clear. Experimenting with various servants yielded numerous results, and the community gradually discovered that AoE servants with multiple hits on their NP, combined with some NP gain for the damage dealer, could refund enough NP on an overkill to exceed the 50% threshold. This allowed the remaining NP to be charged effectively by your own Skadi and the support Skadi, revolutionizing the gameplay. Servants with quick-centric kits often found themselves outclassed in high-level content, and teams built around quick strategies were less reliable and less popular. Skadi's introduction would change the landscape forever, bringing unprecedented power and viability to the quick meta. Servants that usually never saw the light of day have now become state-of-the-art weaponry, and thus, looping was born. Looping, in Vagrant Order, refers to the ability of a servant to repeatedly use their Noble Phantasm in consecutive turns, often through generating enough NP gauge each turn to activate it again. This strategy typically involves specific setups with certain supports and craft essences to maximize NP gain and efficiency. Needless to say, Skadi is one such servant that allows you to make use of this mechanic. She has two versions of herself, one as a caster form and one as a ruler form. Caster Skadi is a quick only focused support, and the latest addition to the heavy supports in Ruler Skadi is a quick and buster oriented servant. Both of them feature a targetable NP charge battery that is essential to the gameplay of quick looping. That being said, all of this is still not enough to make just about any servant loop. The conditions for entering quick meta range from budget versions to premium versions in all different forms. What is essential to know though is that you need a servant that has high hit counts on his NP. Not having high hit counts can only be countered by having a high NP gain stat. It is still advisable though to perform this task with a servant that has both high hit counts and high NP gain. You can see the most popular choices being Fran, Lancelot, Summer Scathach, Astolfo, Atalante, Summer Ishtar, Parvati and the Valkyries, with Achilles and Dantes counting as the 5 stars of the bunch. These are only examples, and just by knowing what conditions need to be met in order for a servant to loop, you can experiment yourself with any other kind of servant. However, I cannot stress enough how important the 50% charge battery on the Skadi is. Just having Skadi is not enough to consider looping. Looping gets exponentially weaker the lower your level 1 and 3 skill are leveled on your Skadi. The lower Skadi's skill level is, the more you have to rely on NP gain and hit counts from your damage dealing servant. This can cause trouble for many players already. But the conditions do not end there. It is good to have any other support of starting NP gauge in form of a craft essence as well. A max limit broken kaleidoscope or wizard marshal is the top of the crop. You will have to make do with other 4-star equivalents if that is the only thing available to you. Furthermore, you have to remember that NP gain is everything for the strategy, so any other support in that area, be it servants or costumes, are very welcome.